Hey everyone, welcome back to BrowncoatNerd. So I've got a follow-up or a part 2 video on the early or first gen production Cetme L handguard, this full length one here. I've got my LC up here with the more traditional handguard that we're used to seeing. On the Cetme Ls, basically this is kind of more like an AK length handguard, which for me I'm pretty used to. But this one's pretty nice. As you can see, you get a little more real estate out here. You kind of reach up there and grab it. And I really do enjoy these. When I first got my Cetme L, even in the review for this gun down here, I think I kind of even poked fun at these because I just thought they were god-awful ugly. But like an ugly puppy, sometimes that makes guns cute, right? So Markelmar does have these. These are original surplus handguards from Spain. These are not reproduction. Markelmar reproduces the furniture that you get on these. This one actually has surplus on it. But the quality of the furniture that Markelmar puts on these, it's a really nice, it's a nylon 6 polymer. It's a lot better than these surplus ones. These ones, if you've ever handled one, it just kind of has this weird kind of slick, almost oily feeling to it, which I do want to point out that the material that they made for these original first gen handguards, it's something different. And this feels, to me, much nicer in the hand. It kind of feels more like a more modern polymer or something. So anyways, Markelmar does have these. The reason I wanted to hurry up and get this video out, I've been kind of dragging my feet on it. Recently, Dave Bain, the owner of Markelmar, had posted about how they were running really low on these. And I think this was like a month to 2 months ago for me making this video. It's April 12th, I think, right now. This will be coming out in a couple days on Friday. But I think he was down to 6 when he made a post saying that he was almost running out of these. I've already done one video on this, which was actually on this handguard, and I had not had a chance to even shoot it with a handguard on there. Since then, I've shot it with the old handguard on there. I got a new one because one of the reasons I think Spain got rid of this style of handguard, like I said, this is a different kind of polymer than what their traditional stuff was. I've come across some articles where people said it was due to these handguards just getting too hot. I snooped around, found some people that had these handguards, and they're like, yeah, no, there's no heat issues whatsoever. Ironically, I've never even fired either one of these guns with the newer Markelmar made furniture. I always end up throwing surplus furniture on there. So I can say with the surplus handguard, it doesn't necessarily get hot. It starts to get warm after you've been at the range for a while. And typically what I'll do, I'll just grab the sling, kind of wrap it underneath there so I have the sling in the palm of my hand between the handguard. And that's more than enough to dissipate any kind of heat that I'm getting into my hand. So I've had a chance to take this out and shoot it. Like I said, I've actually shot it with both of these first gen handguards since making my first video. And I can definitely agree, these are really good against heat. This surplus handguard, I want to make clear that this is the surplus one, not the Markelmar one. I have a feeling the Markelmar handguards probably dissipate heat a little bit better than the surplus ones since they're made with a newer polymer. But these don't even get warm. So I was very impressed with that. Plus it does just feel really nice in the hand. You're able to grip out here a little bit further. These are very reminiscent of your HK handguards that you would see on the G3 or the 93 or any of those variations in between. It is extremely similar to these handguards. And I do want to say, because I've been seeing this pop up in a lot of videos, there's starting to be more and more videos made on these Markelmar Cetme Ls. And done by channels that are way better in production quality than mine and have sponsors and everything. People will occasionally mention how they're going to modify, or not even necessarily modify, but they're going to put like, 93 furniture on here or Cetme C furniture. Guys, the furniture for the Cetme L is not interchangeable with anything. It's not interchangeable with the HK 93 33s. It's not interchangeable with the the G3s or the Cetme Cs. If you want to get furniture put on your Cetme L, you need to get furniture specifically for the Cetme L or be ready to do some hardcore major modifications. Also, just a footnote, the LC buttstock, same thing. I see people talking about getting the collapsible LC buttstock for their Cetme L to try to modernize it more. The internals on these two guns are completely different. So you're gonna have to change out, your bolt carrier and all that crap. Anyways, I just want to point that out because I could see someone getting one of these L's and being like, holy crap, no, I'm stuck with this furniture. So you do have the option of getting one of these early gen handguards. Also, I should go ahead and point out while I'm on this, RS Regulate also does offer an m-lok handguard that you can purchase through Marklemar. That one's less than 200. It's like 160 or 180, I think. And that one obviously is definitely going to modernize your Cetme L because it's m-lok. I do know that Marklemar is currently out right now, but they are going to be getting more from RS Regulate once they have a chance to spool up and spit out a few more. Those RS Regulate handguards come in black. I have seen several pictures where people have Cerakoted them to match their Cetme Ls. The president of RS Regulate has a green Cetme L. You put one of those handguards on, and he actually had them match the Cerakote to the furniture rather than the gun itself. And it looks really freaking nice. Also, worthy to mention, they're still kind of in the prototype early production phase, but Madison Firearms will also be soon coming out with a m-lok handguard for the Cetme L, as well as a pistol grip that's a little more vertical. So I'm a little excited about that. Those are, I think he was saying it was like industrial grade carbon 3D printing. And the last I heard anything about that, they had prototypes and they were just kind of testing them out to see how well they did. So no, that will be hopefully available in the near future. But as usual, I kind of try to keep it as original as possible. Let me get this guy out of the way, now that you all remember what the original one looks like. And of course, if you're watching this video, you own a Cetme L, so of course you know what it looks like. So this gun, ironically, not meaning to, I kind of made a wannabe lookalike of the early production Cetme Ls. Early on, the Cetme L went through a few kind of growing pains, lots of changes, and you will see several that actually do have a black frame to the gun. They still utilize the green furniture. This is actually the Marklemar newer production grip and buttstock on there. But you will see them with the green furniture, black gun, the first gen handguard, and the 3-prong flash hider, which I have recently added on here. This came with the bird cage. So unknowingly, I kind of did make a historical copy of the Cetme L. But I just wanted something different. Wanted the two-tone look. And I just felt like this long handguard would look really good with the kind of direction I was going with this. And like I said, I'm very, very happy with it. Just know one thing, this is a surplus Cetme L furniture. And if you've ever seen any of the surplus Cetme L furniture, they come in all different kinds of shades of green. And if you look at the older pictures of the Spanish military using these, it's very common. You can see like the pistol grip will be a slightly different shade from the buttstock, from the handguard. They're all kind of just different. And on Marklemar's website, they do even show a picture of a box with these handguards in them. And you kind of get a good idea. You have some that are kind of more of a gray. With my lighting here, these look rather similar. But this is definitely more of a gray. And even on the handguard, I didn't even realize this at first. You can kind of see there. These are two slightly different colors as well on either side. And that's just how they were made. Of course, you could get these Cerakoted. I do believe Dave mentioned something about they had some that they sent out to be Cerakoted, kind of playing with them. And it sounded like they had pretty good results with that. And if you didn't see that first video, as you can see, this does have a nice, long, highly polished heat shield in there. I will point out, it was interesting, this one, it had the same style of heat shield. It was held in the exact same way. I looked at it very closely. There's really nothing different production-wise on these other than just a slightly different color and polymer. But the heat shield on this guy was actually much more of a dull kind of matte. And I cleaned it up really well. And for whatever reason, this one is just shinier than this one. But they both dissipate heat very well. I would say definitely better than the surplus handguards. The downside is it looks that much more like an HK. I always kind of joke about that. And actually recently did a April Fool's video with this handguard on the LC, calling it an HK 33, what was it, A1 or whatever. My first video for April just happened to fall on the 1st. So, I mean, I had to take advantage of the whole April Fool's thing. I will point out, it's kind of funny, usually whenever I post a video, my subscriber change will be anywhere from like 5 to maybe 25 new subscribers. I will not be doing any more April Fool's videos, guys, because my subscriber change was actually -1. So, I thought it was kind of funny, but yeah, so the differences between these two are identical other than the shininess of the heat shield. And then one minor thing, I noticed that these rivets, you can kind of see how they're stamped in there. On this one, I feel like they might be stamped in just a little bit shallower than on that other one. But, I mean, the production of everything, it doesn't look like they went through any change. Now then, another thing I was curious about was Markelmar was like, you know, we were told that these didn't exist anymore, that they were no longer around, and we did the impossible and we found some. And so I was finally got the wise idea to actually ask the owner of Markelmar exactly how many of these did they get. Because, you know, I've got the Cetme LC. They put out a 650 of those. Then you throw one of these rear handguards on there, it just kind of, you know, increases the unicornness of it. But Dave said that they had bought a crate of these, or a box of these, and that there was exactly 200 of these handguards in there. And as far as he can tell, and I would have to agree with him, he's the only person to have ever brought these first gen or early production handguards into the country. Now, he did say he kept 2 of the handguards, and then his sons, I think he has 2 sons, each of his sons kept 2 handguards as well, and then they sold the rest. And here I am with 2 of the handguards. So I'm very happy I did go ahead and decide to get another one. And I did, you know, talk to them and mention, you know, how when I ordered this one, you know, when you order these, they point out, you know, there's no guarantee that the color is going to match your furniture because they come in all different shades. So when I ordered my first one, I had actually told them, you know, I'd prefer as close to your green production furniture as possible. But if there's not a good match, I'd prefer it be a little bit darker rather than lighter green. And so then I got this, it's kind of a gray one. It doesn't look too bad. It's definitely a gray green. And I was happy with the color of it. The reason I ended up getting another one, and if you saw my first video, you heard me crying about it, I had actually broken this little piece off because I had put it on my L, and I was like, well, I want to see what it looks like on my LC. And in the process of switching them out, I noticed it was kind of just sticking out. So I just put a little bit of Gorilla Glue on there. I wasn't sure how well that would hold up. I did shoot this once with the repair on there, and I mean, it held up. I didn't, you know, shoot a whole bunch that day. But that was just bugging me. And also the fact that, like, if I don't get one now, who knows when, if ever, I would be able to get one without that chip in there. So I was definitely much more delicate putting this furniture on there. It is a good tight fit. So there you go on the numbers of there. Like I said, I checked the website today. It's April 12th, I think, and they're still available. I mean, it might just be one in stock. But once Markelmar sells out of these, like, I really do not see these becoming available again. You know, maybe someone decides to, you know, sell their L and they put the original furniture on it. Actually, I will say that I did come across one of these for sale, I think on Reddit or something. They're offering one of these as well as the RS Regulate handguard. And I think they're selling it actually for $180. So I will say once Markelmar runs out, if you decide to sell one, Markelmar was offering for $200. I see the prices of these, if you do find one, very easily going up above $200. And even then, like, the people that bought more than one, like me, I keep the original handguard on my Cetme LC, keeping this one on my L. You know, got 2 kind of the same gun that gives them a little more differences. But even then, I am not getting rid of this. I'm going to be holding on to this just in case anything happens to this, or I decide to go ahead and put it on the LC as well. But I'm going to be holding on to it. Another thing to point out, I've been looking at tons and tons of photos. If you're trying to be really picky and get a historically correct Cetme L, what other options did you have go with these handguards? Now, the Cetme L did have two different rear sights. The most common rear sight we see is this flip-up style sight. And this is how all of the Markelmar ones are sold. I believe it's how all of the Hill and Mac ones are sold. I've actually have never seen one in the US that has the drum style rear sights, much like the HK drum. They only did that for a little while. Now, those drum style rear sights, you'll see them both with the full length handguard as well as the later production shorter handguard. And I've seen pictures of this early production handguard on guns with the flip up, the little flip rear sight. So if you've got a Markelmar, you have the flip rear sight, this still would be accurate for that. I will say that I think all of the ones would have a 3-prong flash hider on it rather than the bird cage that are using the full length handguard. I have also seen the full length handguard used on Cetme LCs, both with the I was getting ready to say both with the flip up rear sight and the drum rear sight, but now that I think of it, I don't know if I've ever seen an LC with a drum rear sight. So if you have a Cetme LC, this also would be accurate for that, because I did see several pictures of Cetme LCs with the full length handguard on them. Once again, those would have the 3-prong flash hider on that. Now, and then for the Cetme LV and LVS, I have not seen any pictures with the full-length handguard, which is kind of a bummer to me, because for a while I was wanting to get the LVS. I think those are sold out now. But the idea was, okay, I'd put one of these full-length handguards on there. It's going to be more of a precision rifle, get a better grip. But I think Markelmar only made like 125 of those, or 150 or something. And just so that fact that it wouldn't necessarily be historically accurate, if I were to own one, I think that'd drive me nuts. So I would leave the later production handguard on there. Or maybe you just don't care and you really like the look of this, and yeah, then freaking do it. Either way, if you're on the fence about getting one of these, pull that trigger now, because they are definitely running out. And like I said, I don't see any more coming in. Even when Dave was trying, getting all these parts kits from Spain, my understanding is that people over there were telling him, hey, no, those full-length handguards, we don't have any, new old stock in inventory. Those are gone. And then he was able to find 200. And I do believe the 200 were new old stock. Both of these handguards were in really good shape. Really, the only thing on them was just like a layer of dust and a little bit of grime. And just like a little bit of, storage wear. But, they're in pretty darn good shape. I find it hard to believe that these were ever actually put on anything. Like I said, I think this plastic was just very flimsy. So by the time they got these, I guess you could say, second-gen handguards that we're used to seeing on them, they probably just quit throwing any of the old stock handguards on there, because I think, and like I said, I don't have anything to back this up, but I think they had an issue with these handguards just getting beat up and broken once they actually got out to the battlefield. So there it is. That is my follow-up on the first-gen handguards for the Cetme L. If you guys want to know more information about the Cetme L in general, I do have several videos. I've got a video going over specifically the history of the L as well as the LC. If this is something interesting to you, I highly recommend going and checking out Michiko's videos. He has several on these as well as Forgotten Weapons. Ian's got some really good videos on these too. Oh, and then the last thing, I brought my bayonet out, so I'm sure some of you are curious just kind of how it looks with the full-length handguard. I've got two bayonets. I've got one that's in really good shape. I cannot find it, so I'm going to put my older, kind of more beat-up one on there, but try to get it all in frame there. There you go. That's what she looks like. Alright guys, I appreciate it. Watch another one of my videos. If you like this, please click like and subscribe. And as usual, stay safe and stay shiny.